Be back in a second.
No problem.
No, I need my coffee cup.
Yeah, it's definitely my friend this morning. So, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Just getting my headset on. Hooked up. There. Connected. Yay. So I have coffee, breakfast, and my headset. I should be good to go now.
Ahead of me. I haven't done breakfast yet. Just on the coffee.
Let me make sure the sound is going. Video input, video resolution, audio. Do not use that. Use, gosh darn it. It's paired. What is it paired to? Did it pair to my phone? That'd be annoying. Let's see. Let's see. Nope. Okay. It's connected to something, but what is it connected to? Let's see. How do you input? Not showing up. This stuff should be easier. Let's see.
Doubt.
Okay. System settings. Let's see. When settings got so complicated, you had to search. There was like the beginning and the end. Sound. Okay. Sound. Output. Momentum 4. Hey, that worked. Okay. Sound input. Yay. Okay. So I did a brave thing today. I went to Best Buy on Black Friday.
Wow, look at you. Living
Well,
dangerously.
I got excited about the sales on video games. And I kind of overbought by one. And I'm like, oh, shit, already have this. I already have Metal Gear Solid. I need to return this. And so
So you returned something on Black Friday?
I returned something on Black Friday, which was not a big deal.
Really?
I mean, there's a little bit of a line, but not too bad.
Okay. I guess it's
in fact,
like going against the stream.
It was hard to get out of the parking lot. Yeah. Day after Christmas returns would be the bad one. Yeah. But
yeah, I guess
I survived. When my dad was dying, I went to Walmart on Black Friday to buy him a blanket and some sweats because the place he was staying in was freezing.
Yeah.
And yeah. So we got lodging, I'm understanding, with Mimi.
Yeah. Yeah, that's extremely good news. And a new friend. That's always good.
Yeah.
Hold on one second. Let me take these notes real quick before I forget.
Well, there's this cliche that you get grumpier as you get older. And when I was younger, I didn't get it, but I do now. It's like,
yeah.
kids today are crazy. Their music sucks. In my day, we had good music.
Indeed. This isn't Credence.
I mean, my nephew used to put video game soundtracks on his iPod, and I thought that was weird. But now everybody's listening to K-pop, and I'm like, what? Okay.
Yeah, my son's totally into K-pop. Oh, what happened there? I stopped sharing. How rude. Okay. All right. Repeat.
Okay, I'm gonna check my geolocation. Vacuuming cherries.
Okay. All right. Wrote it down. Awesome. So I don't forget. All right. So
is that a leaf commercial coming from your side or my side?
Is what?
I'm hearing a leaf commercial. Is that you or me?
Must be you. I'm not running ads. You got a window open that's on a browser that's talking to you? Lonely?
Oh, there it is. It was the YouTube ad. There we go. Okay. Yeah.
It's saying, Pierce, we miss you. Come back.
Yeah, I must have hit the K accidentally. Oh well.
Um, have you started to get ads through Alexa or whatever bot you're using in your house yet?
Um, well, I always do because let's see. The only thing I use Alexa for is in the bathroom. Well, I have three Alexa boxes. One in the bedroom that I use to turn the lights on and off when I get in bed. A second one in the bathroom that's the cheapest one that will automatically play music while I'm in the shower. And a third one in the kitchen just for me to yell at. And
Interesting.
so I get ads on the tune in radio when it's
Ah,
music in the shower. And it's annoying because it starts with the ads and then it cuts over to the radio. So it's like
right.
I always get like a minute of ads.
The Alexa has, uh, if you don't pay their subscription fee now, they have a Alexa Plus or something like that now. They're trying to get everyone to upgrade to and pay your monthly fee. They'll It's starting to run ads like every couple days now. They're kind of test running of, hey, this is Alexa. Do you know there's a sale on it? Yeah, I'm about to get a hammer.
You want to hear the new voice on Alexa Plus? It's like, no, go
Yeah,
away, you dumb bitch.
yeah, exactly.
I am the most misogynist when I'm talking to Alexa.
Nasty. All right. So I wanted to catch you up because it went really fast, and I'm not sure how much you can or want to be involved, but you know what's going on with Steven. I assume that
Mm-hmm.
um, his bank
I haven't
account got.
checked to see if he's alive yet. Let's check.
He did. He did hit me up on Signal a couple times. I haven't had a chance to follow up because it. Um,
Well, every morning
let's see
check and
what's
see when he
happening with.
last posted it because as long as he's posting, I know he's alive. So
Yep.
let's see. He
Um,
last posted 21 hours ago. Oh,
yeah. They.
oh, he replied 6 hours ago. Okay, yeah. All right. So he's probably
Uh, so yeah. They took the money that I gave him. So his bank account's back to zero. Um, so he's going to have to find probably a bank account in Ukraine, which might be a bit of a lift since he's not a Ukrainian citizen. So that might be the order of business. So I wish T Media was like a month further along so we could support him more. But
yeah. Well,
obviously he wasn't willing to wait.
probably what happened to him is he's in the Ukraine. The bank sees a bunch of charges from the Ukraine, and they're like, "Oh, this must be fraud," and they lock his credit cards. And on Monday, 9 a.m. Eastern, he can call. He could probably maybe call now and say, "Look, I'm in the Ukraine. It's Saturday. What the fuck?" And they'll say, "Oh, you're in the Ukraine. Oh, well, that's all we needed to know." But maybe not. Maybe he needs to prove he could send them pictures of his plane tickets or whatever. I don't know.
I don't know.
I've
But
had the bank shut off my credit card just going to California. So
um, needs. Okay, so that's kind of a secondary issue, but so we were actually talking about. So let me rewind a bit. So this happened so fast. So I convinced Regina to run the stream.
host the telethon. Yeah.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, that. And so she's taking care of those logistics, which is important because this is something else that I don't, I could figure out, but
Mhm.
she's better at, and she likes doing it. So she's doing that. I took on creating the video that she's going to use and run in a side window. And I've created captions, and I've gathered 2 hours of video so far. There's still about another hour of video I need to pull down.
Sound just cut out there. I don't know why.
Can you still hear me?
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
I didn't hear that last minute.
Oh, okay. I'm creating the video that's going to play alongside her interviewing people, Stephen, whoever else that can join. So her plan is to run it live with speakers for about 2 hours. And then as we exhaust speakers, she's going to switch over to it just playing as a telethon with, and I'm not exactly sure how she's going to organize it, but I would assume something like playing the video playing with a banner saying, please donate to blah, blah, blah. I believe that's her plan. Need to probably catch up with her today to validate that. That will play for, I guess, 10 hours over her various streams. And it would be going through whoever wants to connect is willing to connect their streams. So I've connected D-Media, Kelly Doge, and Sarab, which are my 3 Twitter accounts. So she and also the YouTube Doge Network account. So I believe Steven's connected his YouTube and his. There seems to be a problem with this X account, so we need to follow up on that. Okay, so anyway, so channels. For telethon. So are you willing to connect yours, and are you interested? Because this is probably the biggest issue now. We need to find more channels to broadcast to, because that will expand the reach, and also people to repost, the date and time, so there'll be more people tuning in.
I don't really have any channels, so.
Well, you have your own personal one.
I have my followers. Yeah. I would be happy to repost anything. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Screw the algorithm.
So what I should do is create some instructions for folks, and then you and I can start resharing it amongst our followers and our in the private message groups we're in, basically saying, hey, we need you to repost the date and time of the telethon, and if you're willing, add your channels to the broadcast. Those 2 things will be hugely helpful, and hopefully get it so that Stephen can get some money. So I need to write instructions or write a message. Write message for repost Okay. So that's probably the most critical thing at this point that's not fully handled.
Marketing. Everything is marketing.
Yeah.
We are all in sales. I have an essay about that somewhere. Let me dig that up for you.
Okay. So that's that. I think everything else is handled. And Steven's going to have to figure out the bank account, but I'm not sure there's anything I can do about that at this point.
Hey, it says my domain is for sale. Oops.
What? Did you not pay your DNS bill? Okay, so
Hmm.
I'm still. It hasn't been a priority. I need to work out a detail for me to finalize getting a bank account. Um, I've done 99% of the work. I just need to work out this last detail. So
Hmm.
hopefully, I'll after this telethon's behind us and Steven's worked out his emergency, then I'll be able to focus on that this week. And Turkey Day being behind us will help as well. So, which means that then I'll be able to I'll have a bank account for subscriptions to point to, which means then I can turn on Stripe and then I'll turn on ads um, on D Media, which will also hopefully drive people to subscribe. Um, have you had a chance to play around with the D Media application at all?
Not too much, no.
Okay. Well, maybe that can be your to do as you have some bandwidth over this in the next week, is to just go through and try to find bugs, exercise all the little nooks and crannies of the D Media app.
Hmm.
That would be massively helpful. Is I've been looking at it too much at this point. I obviously can find some bugs, but at some diminishing returns at the because I've seen it so much that I'm probably overlooking obvious bugs because I'm eyeballing it too much. So, can I convince you to put that on your to-do list this week?
Hmm.
Okay, cool.
I already
Um,
sent you um, some um, some feedback already, right? So
I think you did.
I
Yeah,
just didn't
it's
do a deep dive.
yeah.
And I'll send you the link to We Are All in Sales.
Um,
Wow, I
can
wrote that in
you
2014.
can I convince you to post your findings as actual bugs on the? I'm using the Doge network repo issues as the Kanban for now.
Okay, you want GitHub issues for
Yeah,
things.
yeah,
Okay,
that's
I'll
how I'm
make that.
organizing it.
So checkbox review d media dot AI and generate 8 GitHub hub issues.
Cool, cool. Um, so I have been reaching out to possible contributors, bugging them separately. I've got Brian, Steven, and Lisa on board, and they're all at different levels of contribution.
Mhm.
Let me just write that down. Uh,
Yeah, Brian has some good stuff. It's good to
he
get him
does.
surfaced.
He does. So I'd say there are contributors at this point. They've committed to posting in one way or another. I'm I'm hand holding Steven through it because he's obviously massively distracted. Um, and to a lesser extent, Brian. Lisa's somewhat self sufficient. She's the person who's in lives in LA, the Palisades area,
Mhm.
and she'll be writing on basically Palisades rebuild progress. Um,
Well, that reminds me, I wanted to ask you what you got from Todd. You said something about
ah,
what was it? I can't remember what you told me, but you told me some stuff, but you were going to go in more detail, and that should be an article you should write because I've seen lots of videos on, and Adam Carolla's been digging into it, and because he's a construction guy too, right? So
yeah, you're right. I should write on that because I do have some notes from talking to Todd, and it's pretty interesting. So yeah, you're right. I need to prioritize. That would be a good article, and it would be well, maybe not unique, but appropriate.
Well,
So
it's information people don't have if they're not in the trade, right?
yeah,
And I spent half an hour of the day watching Adam Carolla go to Home Depot because he's giving a tutorial on like how to do a cement forming and what the weird things are in Home Depot. And he's like, okay, these are the brackets and they go in like this, and see this cap? There's a new thing they added so that the wood doesn't touch the cement anymore and then wick moisture up from the ground into your wood and make it rot. And I'm like, well, that's interesting, And then he's like, and these things are for forming, and they're pre-drilled holes, and you go and you make the forms, and you're good
right.
to go. And I was like, that was all really, really interesting.
Well, I'm not sure if you've heard, and probably, and this is part of what I should be writing on. And Adam Carolla has been talking about it. So has Spencer Pratt, to a lesser extent. But essentially, the code for homes in Malibu area, certainly on the coast, but not just water facing. You could say Highway 1 down in that area.
Yeah.
They've upped the regulations or the requirements for foundations. And I could assume the best of intentions, but what they've done is they've basically mandated that if you're doing any kind of work, and I won't bore you with the details of what kind of work, but any kind of work on your
Adam
home.
Carolla talked about it. You need 60 pilings or something ridiculous. Yeah, it's
essentially you have to tear down your foundation and rebuild it if
Yeah.
it's over like just a few years old, which is obviously a massive expense for anybody, and also time. And there's only so many people that can do that work on top of it. So you have to jack up the house, and I mean it's not for the the faint of heart. So that has been an additional wrench thrown into this whole process. And there's a bit of, hey, was this done on purpose to try to eliminate people rebuilding their houses as well? So is there not only politics, but climate science built into this? If you starting, I don't know about better
the climate
word.
panicans. Yeah. So decades ago, must have been early 2000. I was staying at a friend's house for the startup, and he was all like trying to get me to believe in global warming and how we're all going to die. And he was like giving me the World Wildlife Fund thing, because of course he donated money, so we got their magazine. He said, you should read this. And I said, okay. So I read it, and then I said, okay, the description on the front page of what the article says and the actual paper say two different things. So I called bullshit on your whole magazine. He was like, what? And then, of course, he didn't actually read the study, right? He's just, I said, just turn to the abstract, and the abstract will say something different, because they have to like submit it to their peers, and their peers will mock them if they lie.
Right.
But the magazine has no compunction. So they'll say, oh, this proves we're all going to die. And the other one says, oh, yeah, there's going to be, whatever. Yeah. And even the Eugene Science Center, I went there the other day, and they have a section on climate. And they're all about how the ice in the Arctic is going to melt and flood the world. And I'm like, Antarctic, maybe, because that sits on rock. But the northern ice cap is a big chunk of ice floating on the ocean.
Right.
So you know how 90% of an iceberg is underwater?
Sure.
Well, that's because ice is less dense than water. So you can do this test at home. You take a glass of ice, a glass of water, and you put in enough ice. Don't let it reach the bottom. Just have a little bit of gap at the bottom and put a piece of masking tape on the level of the water, and then leave it. And as it melts, the ice will just come up to the level of the water, and it'll be the same when you come back, right? Because it's just buoyancy. That's how it works, right? So the northern ice cap melting is not going to raise the level of the oceans.
Yep. But try to explain that to anybody, because it's, as soon as you get 5 seconds into your explanation, you're going to lose their attention. So it's much easier to say the
letters. Antarctic, right? Just add ant in front of the thing, and the presentation by the Science Center would actually be scientific,
Sure.
but instead it's like Arctic, and I'm like, no, 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 that's the other pole. But I don't know. It
Yeah.
just pissed me off. It's like my tax
So,
dollars paid to be lied to.
well, I mean, it is a hobby for a lot of folks that doomsday scenarios are not uncommon. I mean, we've been
Yeah.
it, the last 1,000 years, the Dark Ages was all about doomsday scenarios. It was just different scenarios. So
But the Dark
it is a human
Ages
pastime.
actually had a doomsday, right? Because the entire Roman Empire collapsed, and then that
Well,
meant all the law and stuff like
true.
dissolved, and that's why this is going to get weird. That's why the Greek Orthodox Church doesn't have vows in their marriage ceremony, because what happened is marriages in the old days were all about contracts between the parents, and there was nobody to enforce that anymore. So the Catholic Church stepped in, and that's why the Catholic Church has vows and the Eastern Orthodox does not, because the Roman Empire didn't collapse in the East. So my priest tricked me when I joined the Greek Orthodox Church to remarry me in the church, because he told me that he just wanted to bless my marriage when I joined, and I'm like, oh, okay, that sounds easy. And then we show up and it's like, oh yeah, the marriage ceremony in the Greek Orthodox Church is just a blessing. So actually you're getting remarried. And you need I can't remember the Greek word, but you need one of the Greek ladies in church to stand up for your wife. It's like, okay. And here is the president of the local parish, and he's going to stand up for you. It's like, oh, okay. And we had to do what's called the dance of Isaiah, where we go in circles around the table and stuff like that. So I don't know, just weird things when I converted to Greek Orthodox.
Yeah, it's strange. Yeah, we were married by a Catholic priest, but we're not Catholic.
I was married by a friend of ours, so in a park in Sedona.
Hmm. All right, hold on. I don't want to get off track because I wanted to get through a couple of these things. Even though I love having these, I love these conversations, but I am running on very little sleep, so I only have so much energy before maybe I need to take another nap. So you talked about some data that the 990s that you're gathering and
Yeah,
possibly dumping the raw into Dude. So that's something that we don't need to necessarily dig into today. I just wanted to kind of bring it up that we're still planning on keeping Dude the Dude plans in play.
yeah. I'm
And
gonna jump it
dumping
up,
our raw
and it's
data
gonna be
there.
like ProPublica for nerds, and it'll be like a database, and you can download it. And
Yeah.
oh, right, I have Grok write up instructions on like how to do stuff and with it, and because DuckDB has this kind of UI built in. So you say DuckDB minus UI, and then you give it the name of the database, and then you get this notebook where you can run queries. And if I preload it with queries, then everybody will be like, oh, this is how I find um, charities near me
Okay.
or things like that. And
That
this
sounds
is how
cool.
I find all the charities that are living in the same building and things like that. So,
Yeah. No, I mean, if we can make it simple for people to access stuff, then I'm 100% behind it. Uh, okay. So um, I need to follow up with the Dylan Law Group. I do have some contacts, and I just haven't had a chance to sit down and really
who's the
think.
Dylan Law Group? Is that the friend of yours that's helping you set up the legal stuff?
Yes and no. So I do have a friend who's helping me set up the legal stuff, and the Dylan Law Group is local. But the way that I'm thinking about it is instead of waiting for to set up a relationship with them and work out whatever details they may want to know about what we're doing, what we're about. because they already have a relationship with this other lawyer, is that we set up and do the basics, and then we engage the Dillon Law Group around incorporation, because I'm not incorporating yet. I'm just doing the initial pre-incorporation steps, I guess you could say. And then, so yeah. So, and he has, my legal friend actually has another contact. So anyway, sorry, I'm tired, so I'm not speaking clearly. So I'm working, the stuff I'm doing now is all pre-incorporation. So baby steps, setting up, a fictitious name and business operating license and a bank account, and then the next step over as soon as we get some money flowing in with the subscriptions on, obviously, and maybe a donation or two. I start a relationship with a legal law firm, maybe Dillon Law Group, maybe this other one for the incorporation. And I don't. This is partially networking and partially, cover your ass. I don't foresee there being anything super difficult about incorporating, but having a friendly legal firm on your side that's willing to work with you and is not going to charge us a crazy amount of money is a nice thing to have. Mm-hmm. So I'm just trying to do this methodically and not back into making mistakes that I've made in the past. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's that. Let me actually write that more clearly. Okay. So that's that. What I'd love for you and I, today's not a good day for it because my brain is toasty, but you and I need to sit down sometime this week if you have some time and just think about the operations of Deep Media and how you and I could support it, and who else we can kind of loop in, whether it's Jenica or somebody else, somebody who can help out a few hours a week doing different things, and dividing and conquering probably would be the ideal scenario. One of us works on. I'm just going to make this up. One of us works on being the editor. One of us works on fixing bugs, because I think most of the features are there. You probably don't want to fiddle with it too much at this point. It's relatively stable. So maybe just bug fixing for now until we get significant funding, and somebody else, I don't know, going out and trying to find contributors. I don't know, I'm just making this shit up. But you and I at least starting to think about, how do we support the Deep Media thing so that it's incrementally gets more contributors, gets more subscribers, gets more funding. Mm-hmm. I think it's at the point now where it's a working application. And if we keep adding and subtracting to the Kanban board, the GitHub issues that I set up, at least as a baby step, then it's a matter of how do we keep making small incremental progress, which would help all those things, all the goodness happen. So I don't know, does that make any sense, or was that way too rambly?
It made some sense.
Okay, all right. I'm 90% coffee functional right now, so that's good. Some sense is probably all I can do. Okay, well, that's all I got. I have. You got anything that you wanted to talk about?
Once I get the database done and we get the Antifa and Muslim Brotherhoods in there, I want to use the database to locate all the charities where they're essentially in the same buildings as Antifa or whatever, and I want to reach out to one of these whistleblower law firms and see about getting whistleblower funding for D-Media.
Okay. So how would that work? Are there different nonprofits that are dedicated towards funding whistleblowers, or are you talking about the government or
There's a
both?
government program.
Interesting.
Yeah, and this should be enough that the government can go and get subpoenas to see the books and then audit. So that should get them started, right? They won't have evidence that the Muslims Brotherhood is directly connected to Bob's House of Jihad until they open the books and then say, oh, look, here's all this money where Bob's House of Jihad are employed by the Muslim Brotherhood, or whatever, right?
Right.
That's it gives you the string to pull, and so on. So that's the plan.
Okay. Cool. I like it. That's something that I wouldn't even thought of, and but that makes a lot of sense. It seems like a direct line.
You can't get the whistleblower money if it's like an ongoing government investigation. So you can't whatever you call it in high frequency trading, where you run in front of the trades. But it's worth a shot, right? So I don't hold out a large thing, but it'll probably help the investigation. So that's all I kind of want.
Well, I think it lifts everything because I think it's a great plan. I think it gives a specific goal for funding, attributing it back to the work you're doing right now. So that I like it. We should be always constantly thinking about, since now this is a company derivative work, that whatever stuff we're doing, who's the customer and how is it going to help with funding. I hope, well, yeah, let me put it a different way. My intention is that wouldn't corrupt the work we're doing, but it would give it more of a purpose, which should make it a gratuitous circle, if you will, a loop of whatever we're working on. We're still doing the same work. We're just going to make sure there's a funding angle to it from now on. I was just going to say something felt important. Oh, and it popped out of my head. There you go. Okay. So, yeah, that's all I got. So I'm going to go back to the details of helping Stephen with what spare time I have, and so I need to get the video finalized so that I make sure Regina has it locally. It's at 9 gig right now, so it'll probably be about 12 gig when I'm done. Might actually have to chop it up into smaller pieces. I got a CapCut subscription, by the way. Yet another subscription. But the nice part about it is I should be able to start using CapCut for not only am I using it for captions, but we should be able to start using it for podcasting. So turning our conversations, snippets of our conversations, into reliable podcasts, and that can be part of our subscription process. Or benefit. So there's that. Yeah. So if there's nothing more, I will let you go, and you can enjoy the rest of your day killing things, perhaps.
What's the Gumball economic video?
Oh, yeah, good question. It's not Thomas Sowell, but it's another economist from the 80s. His name escapes me, but very contemporary of Thomas Sowell. And he gave a couple of talks. I think he actually toured. I think it had to do with a book he was selling. at the time, but he was giving this economic talk in a regular old um, room, a theater with an audience, and he'd open the curtains and there'd be a whole bunch of gumball containers of different sizes and a whole bunch of them. So it was very visually interesting. And he'd come out and very unusual set for economic talk, and also a lot of people in the audience, which is also unusual. Um, and he basically talked about economic migration, historically as well as contemporarily. And it was a big issue in the 80s, maybe not as big as it is today, but it was a lot of people were talking about it. And there was a popular conversation going on with in amongst some academic circles of, we have so much, and pick any country that's considered to be first world. We need to give back and help out the third world, the people that have not. So think like food aid and all these different music, popular videos, and all the other stuff. And so his talk is essentially about, hey, that sounds great. Problem is gumballs. If you move people from one place to another, there's consequences to doing that. There's scale problems, and just the act of moving gumballs from one place to another isn't instantaneous. So he's using the gumballs as an allegory, I think you'd say. I think that's right.
It's not an allegory, but it's a way to demonstrate. It's a thought experiment, a way to think about it. Right? It's a model. Right? You can model complicated things sometimes with simple things. Right? Like I think you're building up to my story about how I'll let anybody who knocks on my door use the bathroom, but I won't let a busload of people knock on my door and use the bathroom.
It's very much the same thing. It's a scale problem of like, hey, and I think everyone thinks and practices this way, that if I see somebody who's needs help on this side of the street, I will help them. If I see if there's a busload of people that need help, I can't help them. I'm not physically capable. So, but now fast forward to today, and also the conversation that he was trying to have with folks back then is that it is a problem of scale. Good feelings only go so far, and you can apply that to climate science and a lot of other things that people want to save the animals or pick an issue that becomes popular.
But you have to follow through. I was watching this thing on Daily Wire Plus this morning.
Keep talking. I can hear you. I gotta let the
from Morning Wire, and they were interviewing a lady who knows about the homeless, and they were talking about how the Obama administration started this thing that was like housing first. And she's like, before, the people helping the homeless were all religious people who, of course, had boundaries, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of things happened when you did housing first. One is a lot of the people that are homeless don't realize they're sick, and there's some fancy doctor word for that. And so they did a study in Boston, and it was like half the people after 5 years were dead because they didn't know how sick they were. And they had all these services available to them, but they couldn't, you had to ask, right? And they didn't have the wherewithal mentally to ask, to say, there's this old joke that this guy goes to the doctor, and the doctor says, tell me your routine. And the guy says, well, I get up, I throw up, and then, I go on with my day. And the doctor says, you throw up every morning? And the guy says, oh, doesn't everybody? And I know from listening to podcasts about Miami and Alberta that if you go and talk to the homeless, you get a completely different picture of how things go, right? And there's things of there's what I call the folding table strategy of you go to Office Max and you buy one of those pop-up banquet tables, and you get 4 bureaucrats from the DMV and the Department of Human Services, whatever you call it in your state, and who hands out the snap cards and all there's Forest Service. I can't remember them all. Oh, and you send them up for medicine. You get and maybe you bring a physician's assistant to give them a quick exam. Oh, and housing assistance. You do all of that in one spot because you have to go to the homeless. You can't tell the homeless, oh, you got to go to this building on this side of town and this building on this other side of town, and then go over here and then go over there. That's 4 visits, right? So that's 4 places you got to go. You bring them to the homeless, and that's like a simple thing that I think it was Alberta did. And that's because they actually want us, fix the problem, and they were red enough to actually go and talk to the homeless and figure out what the problem is, right? Just like in the Pacific Palisades, you got to talk to. That's why I told you to talk to Todd, because you got to go and talk to the construction people about. Oh, well, it takes a bunch of time to get the permits done. And I was watching another video yesterday. It was by Podforce One. They interviewed the new head of the FDA. And the criticism of RFK is that he's not a doctor. Well, duh, he's supposed to be an administrator, right? He has to hire Makari, who is a doctor and knows his shit down cold. And he was telling interesting stories about how one of the things the FDA is doing now is to encourage people to build pharmaceutical factories in the US. They're telling the pharmaceutical giants, if you build a factory in the US, we will do our inspections while you're building the building, so you can fix things quickly, and then you'll be good to go when your factory's done.
Right.
And then he was also telling horror stories about how, because the FDA was worried about the supply of drugs, they were letting factories in other countries that did not have standards of sterility and things like that slide.
Shit. That's terrible.
Because they're like, well, we don't want to cut off the access to the meds.
You want to piss them off. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, geez. Yeah.
That's terrible. I'm not surprised, but that's terrible. Yeah. Well, that's what happens when you get folks that mean well into positions like this. Yeah, that they start making stupid decisions.
Meaning well is a good thing, but follow through is everything, right? This is what you learn managing people, is you got to tell people to do stuff. And then you go and say, how's it going?
Yep.
And then you say, is there anything in your way?
It's also having a baseline of, for instance, I had a startup that I worked with about a year ago, and I wouldn't say it died, but it essentially couldn't find funding. And we built an application, and it has a purpose, but it didn't go anywhere. So people liked it, but we weren't able to scale it. So bummer. But fast forward, somebody, potential customer, saw the application, wants to license it. So suddenly, drop everything for a bit and get ready to give this customer a contract. And I haven't touched this thing in 6 months, but because I left it in a really good state, I have a fully operating CI/CD pipeline with security tests and not as extensive test coverage as I should, but I actually set up unit integration and EDE parts testing frameworks for the CI/CD. It was not impossible for me just to jump back in and get things, start looking at things and get it back up to snuff. Because I had set that foundation, and kind of as I was working with them, I said, well, this is, we have to have this. We can't, there's some things you just don't shortcut. With somebody with less experience, they would have said, yeah, it's not important right now. It's a little bit extra work that I don't have to do. Let me just do it the easy way. And it would have been probably 2 weeks before we could have been ready. Because I had a good baseline, I was able to spin everything back up and fix some security bugs that have popped up in the last 6 months. Some of them kind of nasty. And I was able to do it in 6 hours. So just as an example, a very long-winded example, but obviously the medical organizations that are operating regulations for the federal basically the nation should have some baselines, and having all our pharmaceuticals basically created in countries that have lower standards than ours should be a baseline that you don't cross.
Mhm. Yeah.
And
Well, or
it's
don't relax the
very
standards.
unfortunate.
Don't relax the standards. It's okay to make stuff in India, but you have to make it to the American standards.
Well, yes, maybe, but having no capacity, because even though India is friendly to us right now, it doesn't take much for that over a few years for that to change. They get a different administration in. They want to be friendlier to maybe some
To China.
adversaries of ours, and
China.
it's very difficult to spin up new factories. So it's rather short sighted to like a lot of our industrial policy has been over the last 20 years. Is that going for the short, cheap sugar high of getting stuff cheaper, and sacrificing your ability to make stuff in your own country that you have regulatory control over and industrial control over it's a huge important thing. Duh. Have both, sure, but don't sacrifice one for the other for short-term gain. But it is. I'll finish my rant. It is unfortunately a side effect of having extremely short-term CEOs and C-suite folks in these publicly traded businesses, which everyone is now, pretty much. That they're not held to account for long-term strategy. They're held to account for the stock performance over a few years, and they cash out and move on. So we need to get more boards that hold C-suite employees held to account for long-term strategies, not short-term gains, because it leads to the problems that we have today, where you have
Yeah, I mean, I
companies
think
trying to move from one country to another. I mean, that's no small feat if you're industrial based.
stock options that are valued over 2 years should be tax free. Now that'd be hugely controversial because they'd be like, money to billionaires, but whatever. It's like reset the time scale of these CEOs
Sure.
to like the long term strategy and maybe make it 5 years or whatever.
The
Like
Tesla
Elon's like,
standard isn't a
yeah, the
bad
Tesla
one.
standard, like, don't pay me unless I take the stock to be worth 8 times what it is now. It's like, wait, you want 12% of the company if you make it 8 times bigger?
Oh yeah,
Okay,
let's do that. Yeah.
let's do that. Yeah, and you're not going to take a salary if you don't? Oh, okay. Why doesn't every CEO take that?
Yeah, that's because most of them are. I mean, obviously, most aren't as intuitive and smart as Musk, but the that type of spirit of build or bust, success or bust, is just completely gone out of most of these companies. That
Yeah.
they're as you pointed out as we started talking this morning, it's way more about the marketing and way less about the substance. They're not actually building things. They're promoting stuff on TikTok.
Well, yeah, and I was watching the Hodge twins. They had this funny clip, and it was about comic books and how they've gone all woke and how they've turned into shit, and how there's a white Black Panther,
What?
and the guy who writes that is actually black, and he thinks, and the nerd was speculating that like he did that to make fun of the wokeness in the comic book industry of like, oh yeah, let's go the other way and see what happens.
Right.
And then the Hodge twins are black, right? So they're like, yeah, we don't want to see a black Superman. No, 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 no. And we don't want to see a gay Superman. Everything's black and gay now.
And so, yeah. Well, it's just, whether or not everyone recognizes it consciously, everyone unconsciously recognizes that it's forced, that it's not,
Oh yeah.
it's artificial. So it makes, Snow White and all these other stories that are based on some kind of well-established, well-known story. It makes it feel, weak and false and untrue. And not enough people are smart enough to recognize that, just plug in some kind of um, fancy add-on like some fancy add-on like make them gay or a different color doesn't actually make it a better story.
Yeah, we need a
You
trans
tell it with
character
that
here.
detail.
Yeah, it's
But
like, what?
not enough
No.
people recognize that. Just
They
sad.
were making fun of. There's a female Silver Surfer now who's, if you're a comic book person, was like one of the ancient, um, really cool characters. He was actually
Yeah,
like one of like the second most powerful person in like the comic books.
sure.
And he had an interesting story arc because he was the herald for Galactus, who would come and like eat your solar system for energy.
Right.
And um, they made it female, and then they just did a shitty job, and she's ugly as fuck. It's like she looks worse than the T-1000 in Terminator 2.
Why don't I? Yeah, I didn't. I haven't seen that movie yet, but I didn't get the
Well, I
purpose
know you
of
won't, because it won't
adding
last
a
very
sex to
long.
it because it was always sexless, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it used a male voice, but it was. I
yeah.
mean, what's
He
the
did not have a
purpose of
penis. Yeah,
what's the purpose of a herald
yeah.
of
He was a Ken
destruction
doll.
having a sex? I don't get
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, it's very well. It's just people that don't. My son will rant about this. That people don't understand the lore and this basically the backstory of things. They just go for the flashy marketing thing, and it feels false.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, and fake sucks. Yeah, and
Witcher with that Henry Cavill. It's
yeah,
okay, but it's not the same. It's not as deep. It's not the passion isn't there because it's
yeah. I
not the
read
same
this
story.
book years ago, and it was like the psychology of fairy tales or something like that. And it went into like the psychological underpinnings of these old tales, and it was really interesting. Um, um, I can't remember the author's name, but yeah, and Jordan Peterson talks about like the symbology of Sleeping Beauty, about how her parents keep her super sheltered,
Mm,
and
okay.
then she gets pricked, and that like breaks her worldview, right? And now she's like, asleep, and she has to have like somebody wake her up.
Interesting.
And so it's actually kind of a metaphor for being overly sheltered.
Interesting. I don't think I've actually heard that, or at least I don't remember hearing it. Okay.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, all the different old fairy tales. It is disturbing and interesting to dig into them more because they obviously are metaphors for different
yeah,
situations.
yeah. A lot of those old stories are deep, right? When you dig into them, you're like, wow, there's a lot of depth in this story, and you don't
Sure.
realize. Like Jordan Peterson will talk about how, like, and of course, the evil queen turns into a dragon, and it's like, what? When he calls it out, you're like, yeah, why is it that it makes perfect sense for the evil queen to turn into a dragon? And of course, the magical kids go to a magical school, so
Right.
I don't know.
It all makes
Anyways, all
sense.
right. It's been an hour.
Yeah, I appreciate
That
your
was
time,
good.
buddy.
I don't
Um,
know how did we do an X?
I don't know. I didn't even check. I'm going to start focusing more on um, taking now that I have a CapCut. I'm going to start chopping out a few sections of our talks that are meaningful and not
Mm-hmm.
my ramblings, and reposting them and publishing them to D Media. So, um, and get um, a podcast going for us because it's actually not that hard to do. Um, you just need a bit of audio and a bit of a process to do it. So,
Yep.
so rather than worrying about our counts, because that's somewhat distracting, and just go forth and do. So, because I think if we do all these different things, run a telethon for a friend, gather data, look for funding, and we do these, get contributors to for video and articles, and we just keep doing this stuff, then um, the subscriptions and everything else would just fall into place.
Mm-hmm.
So that's at least that's my hope. But But
Okay.
I do have a bit of experience to rely on that this will work. So hopefully it's not more than, hopefully it's an educated guess rather than a hope. All right, buddy. I'm going to go finish up this video and maybe take a nap.
Okay. I'm gonna go clean up my house a little bit and vacuum the dogs and maybe visit my wife in the memory care. And
Awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, when we have some spare time over the next couple of weeks, I'll give you an update on my family situation. It's a shit show as always. So
Well,
I don't think we have time to or the energy to talk about it today. But
yeah. If you didn't love them, it wouldn't bother you.
what's that?
If you didn't love them, it wouldn't bother you.
Yeah, it's valid. Bonnie says goodbye. All right. See you, buddy. Have a great day.
Bye bye. All right. Bye bye.